Okay, now I lost y'all. Hold on. There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. So
Good
y'all shouldn't be able
morning.
to hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I have my earphones plugged in. That's not good. Okay. Okay. Okay, they must not be plugged in. Okay, let's do what we're doing then. All right. Today we are going to go back to the beginning and just do a basic video on what is sex therapy. And so I think it's a topic that deserves to be talked about and continue to be talked about because I still have people who are like, I have no idea what sex therapy is and how it could help me. So we're gonna go round robin, and so we'll go the way that you're appearing on my screen. And so Jessica Renard, what's your answer? What is sex therapy and how can it help me?
Ooh. I think one of the biggest things that is important to make sure that people know, I guess, is what sex therapy is not.
Ooh,
Um, so like we do not touch anyone, no one touches us. There is not sexual acts performed in session. No one's getting naked. So that's really important because I
yeah.
think there's a lot of misconstruing sex work or sex surrogacy or a lot of other things that have sex in the title with sex therapy, and sex therapy is not those things. So that would be the piece that I have to add.
Okay. Um, Thank you. All right. Jessica Addison, what would you
Mhm.
say? What is sex therapy?
I would say getting to know your body. That's far more than the elementary, junior high, sex ed conversations. But getting to know your body to know yourself in the more sensual and intimate aspect, and knowing how to guide your partner, how you guys can have a successful intimacy, not just sex life, because sex and intimacy are two different things. So I feel like in sex therapy, we kind of look at the social aspect of getting your mind and your body in the bedroom.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Todd, you are the newest person in Atlanta Sex Therapy.
Mm.
And so, from your perspective coming in, what is sex therapy?
Sex therapy is it's talk therapy that is rooted in sexual content, sexual issues, sexual concerns. But in sex therapy, we're kind of helping the clients uncover where those concerns are coming from, why you're having these issues in the bedroom, to really figure out the root of the cause and to help heal that. So I've been asked a lot by family members and friends and what exactly is sex therapy? Like, what are you
Hmm.
doing? I've gotten
Hmm.
a lot of confusing faces, like when I tell people I am
Yeah.
a sex
Yeah.
therapy intern. And the easiest way I've explained it to them is it's just like regular therapy, but we deep dive into your sex life and we
Yeah.
find a lot of issues in other areas of your life when we start with sex. So if you just look at it like a regular therapy session, you
Hmm.
know, like Jessica said, like we're not teaching you, we're not showing you how to have sex, we're not touching you, we're not doing,
Right.
anything that you wouldn't have done in a regular therapy session is not what happens in sex therapy. So yeah,
Right.
it's just the topic that we start with that we kind of deep dive into all the other issues. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just talk therapy about sex.
Okay. First of all, I want to say I apologize for I was distracted for a second. I had a client situation I had to do a text message on, so I apologize for that. And then I think I'll jump in the conversation and say, this is what my original supervisor, sex therapy supervisor, said. Good sex therapy is good sex education.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't realize how much ourselves, our lives, our relationships, our dynamics, our interpersonal dynamics play out in the bedroom and the things. And so often we a couple may come in for sex or individual may come in for sex and it's like that's just a symptom of the bigger problem. And so a great example of that would be vaginismus. 80 to 90% of the time, vaginismus is anxiety and fear. And so we're probably not going to start talking about, okay, how do we get a penis into your vagina? We're probably going to start talking about first, tell me what's the fear? What's the anxiety? Where did it come from? How can you overcome it? How is it playing out in the rest of your life? How are you overcoming it in the rest of your life? And then building on those successes to say, okay, now how do we overcome this in the bedroom? And what's keeping you from enjoying the rest of your sexual experience, because we'll have clients, and because one part of their body, or because one part or one facet of their sexuality isn't working the way that they want it to work. I won't say the way it needs to work, that they want it to work, then everything is shut down. So it's kind of very black and white thinking, there's no gray. And so I feel like a lot of times we spend our time with our clients just saying, live in the gray. Like, like live in the gray. Like, what's going on? So it's just different themes that have been coming up this week. It's like, it's about sex, but it has nothing to do with sex. And so it's with a couple of people, we've been talking about just kind of hygiene. Okay, so the bigger thing about hygiene, so A, is keeping you from having the sex life you want because your partner's like, nope, I like people to be showered before I start licking on bodies. But the bigger thing is that depression. Like, that's a key indicator of depression if you aren't keeping up with what we call your ADLs, activities of daily living. And so what does that mean? So we need to look at the whole rest of your life to see what's going on, even though it's playing out in the bedroom, because that's the thing that's making you come in. And I think so often that's what we'll see with our clients, is because their partner is like really complaining, we need to get this thing fixed. It kind of brings them into the door, and then we start looking at, okay, how is this? What's the bigger issue here? What's really going on? Sometimes it's, I don't actually like my partner. That's why. and like, I'm laughing about that, and it's very light. But sometimes I think sex therapy has clients sit with some real big questions. So there's a popular book that The Body Keeps the Score. And I think that's hugely true in sex. And so if you're in a relationship and you aren't feeling sexy toward this person whatsoever, we got to look at seeing, okay, what is your body telling you about this? Because sometimes our bodies will know and tell us something before we can accept it in our brain. Okay. So if somebody was coming in for sex therapy, what's the one thing you would want them to know? Jessica? Renard?
Okay.
Sure. Sex is probably not what you think it is. Just because, like, I think a lot of people assume, at least in heteronormative couples, that sex is penetration. Like, sex is penis plus vagina equals sex, and ideally simultaneous orgasms, and it all happens at the same time, and everybody's into it at the same time. And that's not typically how it goes. So I think throwing out the idea of what is mainstream sex is really important, and crafting the idea of sex and intimacy with your partner. And that is the only person that needs to be involved, not your friends, not Susie down the street, not how many times, like, nobody else gets input except for you and the person you're sleeping with.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, Jessica Addison. So a new couple or individuals coming in, what's the one thing you want them to know before they come in?
That we'll probably get to the physical part last. That's the last thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the dynamics within the relationship, and, like you said, what the interpersonal dynamic looks like outside the bedroom, and how those characteristics probably play into the bedroom as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, Taj, and thank you, Jessica Renard. Taj, what do you want? If somebody's coming in to see you for the first time, what do you want them to know?
I want them to know that whatever they're dealing with, it's okay, and you are not alone. I know sex is a very intimate thing, and so I can imagine a lot of clients feeling like, they're the only ones that deal with this particular sex issue, or
Mm-hmm.
they feel like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong with me because I deal with this particular issue in sex. Like, shouldn't I just be able to have sex? Shouldn't I just, you know, be able to enjoy it?
Yeah.
And I want the clients to know that you're not alone and it's okay. Like, we'll work through it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This thing, oh, I think I want clients to know so much, but I think I want them to know there is no normal. Like
Mm.
it's what works, whatever is working for you. And so if you and your partner both are okay having sex one time a year, then you have a great sex life that works for you.
Mhm.
Period. I think I also want people to know that just like, have you guys noticed that with some people you're a different person a little bit? Like with my best friend, I'm so funny with her. We are so funny together. Like it's just who we are. Like we can laugh about anything. I have a other friend. I love her dearly, but we're not funny together. It's just I don't know what we are. Very appreciative, but we're not funny together. We just have. And so you're gonna have different dynamics with different people. Sex is the same way. And so with one partner, sex could have been hysterical and y'all laughed all the time, and it was. And another partner, it could be more sensual. And so I also would like people not to compare their current sex life to something that they did historically, especially if historically was more than 5 years ago, because you were dealing with a different body and probably even a different you. Most people are not the exact same person they were 5 years ago. It should be some type of growth, some type of
Mhm.
development, some type of reiteration. One of my clients said one time that he read an article that said, if you cannot look back on your previous self 10 years ago with absolute horror of who you used to be, what you used to think, and what you would say, you're not growing enough.
Mm.
Because if you're growing
That's
enough, you'll be like, how could I have ever thought that? How could I have ever done that? And so there should be some type of progression. And so understanding that sex is going to be different. And that's the thing. So there is no normal. Stop comparing it to others and even stop comparing it to your past. So people will be like, but when we met, we were having sex every day. That was 20 years ago. Like, we're doing lots of things every day 20 years ago. And so please, please, please understand the sexual relationship for what it is today, what it is in this relationship, what it is in this phase of my life. What meaning does it have in this phase of my life? What do I need to get from it in this phase of my life in this relationship? And I think that's another thing. I think sex can be different and have different reasons in different relationships. So one relationship, and we'll like to joke in culture, oh, that's just a fuck boy, that's just a fuck girl, or something like that. But the implication is I don't need a lot from that relationship to except for sex. All right, so that's going to be a very different sexual relationship than one where you're having somebody be your provider and your caretaker and your domestic partner and your co-parent and elderly care partner and financial partner. That's a lot, and so how the sexual relationship plays out then is going to be very different than how it plays out with somebody who was just a sexual partner, because that's a lot of weight on the relationship, right? If it's you're just my sexual partner, I get to pop in the fantasy world with you and play and then come back out. But my partner that I have to share all of these things with, those dynamics may keep us from just popping into sex and popping out. Popping into the playground and popping out. Because on the way to the playground, you left your socks on the floor. And so now I have to be responsible for picking up your socks. And so therefore, I'm not feeling like playing. And so keep that in mind, please. Okay. All right. What else is coming up for you of what you want people to know, Jessica Renard?
Hmm, I guess um, you can still have intimacy without sex. Like you don't need to be naked. Um, like cooking together, or cuddling on the couch together, making out.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a lot of things that can be intimate. Like John Gottman talks about the 6 second kiss and how the 6 second kiss is worth coming home to. And so like there's a lot of things that can help with your intimate life and your sex life. And ultimately, if those intimate moments are happening, things in the bedroom will probably be going easier because you feel more open and connected to your partner. And so figuring out what little steps to take and what little steps to add can add up to the end result. And sometimes people are like, I want a magic wand. I want to make it all better. Like, give me some advice that like I now can have, do what I want or have the sex that I want.
Yeah.
And so understanding that it can take the little steps and turning towards your partner and opening and being vulnerable, like having
Yeah.
intimate conversations is huge as well. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of the problems that we see is people don't talk about sex. They don't talk about what they like. They don't talk about what they don't like. They don't talk about frequency, what their expectations
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And that's what causes a lot of the problems.
It is. Oh, that's so good. You said so much, and like as you said it, like just cases are flying through my head where that has been the situation. There wasn't a good conversation there, or it was little things. So Gottman talks about bids for affection, and a bid for affection could be as simple as your partner saying, "Hey, look at that car on the street," and you just saying, yeah, I see it. Like that is a bid for affection that that was reciprocated. Like you paid a little bit of attention. And so those little things I've seen couples underestimate and then wonder why it feels like we're not connected when we get to the bedroom. Well, that's because I tried all morning to connect with you about the bird that was in the yard or the deer that was in the yard or the car that was across the street and I couldn't connect in that little way. And so I can't figure out how to connect with you in that big way. And I think a lot of us we just you don't know what you don't know. And those little things are hurting. Okay, Jessica Addison.
I would say don't be afraid to schedule sex. I have a lot of
Ooh.
clients who don't want to schedule sex. They think it's supposed to be natural and spontaneous and all that good stuff. But people who want that spontaneity, I kind of put in the same category of people who look at social media and love when somebody plans a birthday and has balloons and everything in the bedroom. They like that aspect of planning. It should be the same thing in sex life, that someone was intentional and thinking about you and wants to set
Mm.
something up for you. It lets you know that you're wanted, that you're desired, and I'm willing to make room and make time for us.
Oh, that's so excellent. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so perfect. I'm not even gonna say anything on it. Okay. All right, Taj, what's one more thing you want people to know?
I want people to know the importance of being present during sex, mindfulness. Um, because oftentimes, you can have sex and just be like, did I cut the gas off on the stove? Did I pay my water bill? Did I forget to walk the
Mhm.
dog? Like your
Mhm.
mind can drift
Yeah.
off to so many other
Yeah.
things and it takes you out of the
Yeah.
intimacy of that moment. And it's very easy,
Yeah.
for that to happen. And so mindfulness based approaches are, on the rise and I actually love that model. And I think it would heavily benefit, clients in sex therapy, just practicing being mindful and like checking in with your body. And when you feel your mind drift off, you bring it right back. Those practices could really enhance a sexual experience. And so I want
Mhm.
clients to learn about mindfulness just, for every aspect of their life. But of course, I think it heavily benefits their sex life as well.
Mhm. So on yours, I would love for people to take it one step further and
Mhm.
challenge themselves to make sure they include sex in their plans, in their life, in their
Mm.
almost kind of like I intentionally work out so that I have, better physical tests, better physical physicality. Um,
Mhm.
and so I would also love people to say, like, I intentionally make sure that sex is included in my life so that I am having that sensuality be present. Okay. Because those moments of mindfulness, of sensuality, of just sitting there and being touched, we're
Mhm.
human beings and we have touch needs. And so just to say, I'm going to make sure that my touch needs are met this week. And I'm going to do that using sex, using a physical connection with another person, the person who I've kind of committed to share my life with, that make sure we have that. I think a lot of times people feel like sex just is supposed to come from a spontaneous feeling in their groins of like, I just, my body wants you and I got to have you. It can. It can, and it's nice when it does, but that's not the only place sex can start from. It can start from the very intentionality of I want this to be present in my life. So these are the things that I'm willing to do to make sure it's present in my life. Just like we, after you get a certain age, and it varies for everybody, anything that you want in your life, you have to be intentional about.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes intentional about creating a family, intentional about making sure that you consistently call your mother, intentionally about saving money. Like you reach an age where it's just like, if this is going to happen, I've got to get intentional about it. I've got
Mm-hmm.
to put some effort. And so that includes sex. And I feel like overall, I don't think we get that message through TV and media. And a lot of things that if we don't get it through TV and media, we just don't get it, which is very sad regarding our culture, but it is a truth of our culture, and so we've got to start um, making sure that this is present in our lives. I think it's important for so many reasons. Okay, all right, what's coming up? Just a free for all. We got 7 minutes left, so what's coming up for any of you guys?
The thing that I was also thinking of is like lube is your friend. Like they don't ever
Ooh,
talk about
yeah.
lube anywhere else, but like friction in certain places is not necessarily the best thing. It causes problems with birth control. It causes problems
Mhm.
with wanting to do it again because you're sore. So lube, just
Yeah.
have lube.
Let's use
Okay.
lube.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else that's coming up? That's a good one, Jessica.
Um, just staying on the trail of like not being afraid to use lube. I am a toy supporter. Like, don't
Yeah,
be afraid to use some toys, you
Mm-hmm.
I
know.
second that.
Um, I have had conversations with a few couples where it's like someone would feel intimidated by their partner using toys, and it kind of puts them in the mindset of like, oh well, I'm not enough. I'm not enough to please them by myself, so they got to use this toy. I've even heard a guy say, well, my dick can't vibrate like that, so it makes me feel inadequate that she can go buy something that looks like my dick but it can't vibrate. And I'm just like, well, she doesn't expect it to. Like, no one's, no
Yeah.
one's penis
Yeah.
can vibrate the way
Right.
a vibrator can. And so my response to those concerns is, well, like, when you're using a toy, it's a different sensation. It's something
Mm-hmm.
different from the
Mm-hmm.
sensations that your physical touch can bring to your partner. And so, just be open to it and exploring. It's such a huge world to explore. I mean, sex toy, and it can be fun. It can bring some sparks back into your relationship. And I just want people to be a little bit more playful about sex
That'd be
and
nice.
to use some toy. Yeah, have a good time with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Take a step back and maybe see it as exploration. And on
Mm-hmm.
that note, I would love couples to challenge themselves to maybe every fifth year of the relationship go back into exploration mode because what worked yesterday may not work today, and we may need to figure
Mm-hmm.
it out. And so, as opposed to, I know how to have sex. I've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
Mm.
Could we, or 50 years, or however many, could we just take a step back and say, maybe I don't know what my partner likes anymore. Maybe my partner's body has
Mm-hmm.
changed. Maybe my body has changed. Like what can we do? And it's when it comes to toys and stuff, I just always think about power tools. Like you can build a house with an old fashioned hammer and nail, but a nail gun is so
But
much faster
why?
and efficient. Like right, or even like a cake. Like you can stir a cake with a spoon and like incorporate the flour, but the hand mixer is so much like faster and easier. And so I would love people to just take sex toys on as just a tool to help them be more efficient, to be a better lover, to do all of these things. And so when you get finished looking at a cake, or when you see a fresh cake, you're not like, oh, it's less than because they used a hand mixer. If you see a beautiful home, it's less than, oh, it's less than because they used a nail gun. And so it's the same thing. At least that's what I would love for you guys to think about it. So, and I think my last statement, Jessica Addison, did you have a last statement before I made my
Oh, no.
last statement?
You guys are good.
Is um sometimes y'all are just making much too much of sex. Like
Mm.
it's just make much too much of it. And so I would love couples out there just to be able to say, like, we hadn't had sex in a while. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's go do it now. Like, yeah, you're right. As opposed to we have to have all of these things in place. Like, just let's just go do it now and make it happen, and stop making so much out of it. Sometimes we give it too much meaning, as opposed to it just being a fun activity. So, okay. I hope the people got something out of this today. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm always awed at how brilliant therapists you guys are. And I'm so proud of you guys. When I hear y'all talk, I'm just like, oh, wow, she's so smart. Like, she's so brilliant. I don't know if I know that. And so I'm so excited that y'all are serving the people. So, all right, ladies, y'all have a wonderful day.